Hello YouTube, I'm back again, second time today. Another video on the NFL. We see a abundance of NFL videos from my channel now because you got the season coming up. That's what everyone's excited for. I feel like that's what people are looking to see. This is the sport. It's coming up. Fall's coming up. So main question here is, can the Baltimore Ravens, who won the Super Bowl last year, made the AFC Championship before, can they do what it takes to make it back? Can they win it again? Before I even go, measure my criteria, right? I just want to say, first of all, they did gain some pieces. Now, they lost a lot of pieces. They lost, whether it was on their defense, which was like a big part of that football team and their success year after year. But they gained a little bit. They like a guy like Chris Canty, they gained a few guys on the offensive end, but I personally don't think it's enough. My personal feelings, I think the ceiling for this team is to make the playoffs as a wild card. I don't think this team has enough to win that division with the Bengals, young, getting better, and the Steelers, who aren't going anywhere. Despite what anyone says, I think the Steelers can still make a run. The Steelers completely collapsed last year and barely missed the playoffs. Now think of what they could do if they're more consistent. They have more of a better plan this year, adding a little more youth, more of an identity in their backfield. So that's two teams I don't think the Ravens can surpass in that division. But anyway, here's what I measure for a championship team. Again, I don't think they're a championship contender this year, but let's see what they fit. Quarterback, yes. Despite what anybody wants to say about Joe Flacco, he's proven to be a winner. He's constantly had success. He's been a main factor in that success. He's proven not only can he get them there, but he can win it there. So I'm going to say yes. Quarterback. Wide receivers. Anquan Bolden. They barely gave, they gave him up for really not much, but he was a big part of that football team, because like I always allude to, especially in my last video, is you need guys that can make plays for your quarterback. Your quarterback's great, but he's only going to succeed to the apex if his wide receivers around him can create separation, get yards after the catch, and just catch the football. They have Torrey Smith, very good wide receiver, and Dennis Pitta going down, also to add to Bolden, their overall receiving core and their cast of weapons. Torrey Smith's going to get too much attention. You can't rely all on Torrey Smith. So on the outside, I don't think they have enough playmakers. I think that you could double Smith and no one else is going to hurt you that much. And then losing a guy like Pitta, who could have been a good security blanket for Joe Flacco, he's gone. So I don't think that this receiving core has enough weapons. So I'm going to have to X that. Offensive and defensive lines. I think this defensive line is going to be fine. You got Haloti Ngata, one of the better nose tackles in this game. Their line usually, it's not a lot of big names on it, but they always go out and play well. But then you add a guy like Chris Canty, and Chris Canty could really help this football team. I think he can get some penetration. He was injured last year. He didn't really have a very good year last year, but I think that he'll be good this year. He's got a lot to prove. So, and he adds for depth. So I think that defensive line will be pretty good. Now let's look at the offensive line. I say yes. This offensive line, I don't think it's a juggernaut necessarily, but I feel like they didn't really lose too much on the offensive line. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I know Matt Burke, I believe, retired, but they still have a pretty good line. I think they do a good job of protecting Ray Rice so he can run. And Vontae Leach is still there for the run game. And then passing, again, I don't think they're a great pass blocking team, but they seem like they protect Joe Flacco just good enough. So I'm going to say both lines are capable. Defense. Big part of the Ravens organization and their success, not just last year, but in the 2000 Super Bowl and all the success they've had in between. Defense. I don't think they have it this season. I think they'll be all right. I don't think they're going to be, bad and, 32nd in the league. But you lose your two starting safeties. You lose 3 of your linebackers, which they run their defense through their linebackers. I think that's too much to lose. I don't think that this defense doesn't have a leader on it. I mean, Terrell Suggs, I think, is a leader, but outside of Terrell Suggs, they don't really have. I don't think they have an identity. I really don't. And he's a leader, but I don't think he's like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. He was the 3rd leader. So I don't know. I don't think this defense has what it takes not to be a championship contender. What I just said, leadership. I think they have leaders. You know, they have Ray Rice, they have Terrell Suggs, but I don't think it's enough. This football team, they were kind of dead, and Ray Lewis came back and, you know, they jolted. Terrell Suggs, Ray Rice, I think they're leaders, but I don't think they're really the leaders, you know, they need. They're not Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. So the leadership of this football team is in question to me. I look at them, without Ray Lewis, without Ed Reed, I kind of say, you know, what's their identity? They have a few leaders, but I don't think it's enough leadership. It's just not what it was. So I'm going to have to X that off as well. Depth. No, they really don't have depth. I don't even know who they're going to start at safety. You know, you lose Ellerby, Kruger, and Ray Lewis. Who are their linebackers? So not only is starting players going to be like, you know, a big if, you know, a question mark. Are they going to have any backups that are capable? What happens if they sustain an injury? I don't think they have depth on this football team right now. Coach. Yes, they have a coach. John Harbaugh, I think, is one of the better coaches in this game. He's player-oriented, you know, player-friendly, a player's coach, you know, all those categories, you know, you put them together, that's John Harbaugh. I think the coach, it's not the do-all, end-all in sports, because you have to eventually got to have the players to execute. But they're going to play hard for this guy. They've proven it. I think he's a very good coach. They respect the man. So I'm going to have to check that off. Okay, so the 7 categories of a championship team. The Ravens only fit 3. I don't think that's good enough. I don't think they have what it takes to really make a playoff run. And then making the playoffs, they're kind of going to be lucky to make the playoffs this season if they do as a 5 or a 6, in my opinion. But I think the biggest things they lost was their defense. Their defense just isn't going to be what it was. And their defense, you know, people want to say, oh, their defense phenomenal. They gave up a lot of points in 2 of the playoff games. So, you know, they're losing all those pieces. I don't think their defense is going to be very good this season. I don't think it's going to be bad, but like compared to what it was, I'd say this is at best, at the apex, is kind of a middle of the pack defensive team. And, you know, right with it is leadership. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, they're gone. Those are, you know, the 2 main leaders of that football team, especially Ray Lewis. They have a few guys that are leaders in my eyes, but not enough. Not enough to supplant that leadership that they lost. And then another huge thing, you know, that was more defensive oriented. Wide receivers. I don't think they have enough talent to help out Joe Flacco. I think there's going to be too much pressure on, you know, Torrey Smith. I think it's going to be an overworked Ray Rice this season because he's going to have to catch, he's going to have to run, he's going to have to do so much. So I think those are the 3 biggest categories that they lost. They don't have it now, so I don't think they're a contender this season, folks. So give me your opinions in the comments section. I'll be feel free to debate anybody. And also, I just want to give a shout out to Start to Finish Sports. I guest star on that panel. I'm a member of that panel, actually. Give their videos a look. You know, tell them I sent you, of course. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I thank you for watching.